And we are live, everybody. Welcome to the MLB Strategy Show, Thursday, September 12th. I am Josh Engleman, here to break down just a 5-game MLB main slate for today. We've got Bills and Dolphins tonight, and less people are going to care about baseball, but not I, folks. I don't care at all about Bills Dolphins. But Bills Dolphins is going to get covered in mass over the next few hours on this Stochastic YouTube channel. We will have plenty of coverage for Thursday Night Football. But I, Josh Engleman, which you could follow me on Twitter at that spot. Make sure you're liking the video, subscribing to the channel, hit the notification bell. I will be paying very close attention to baseball. And that's what we're going to do today. We do have one piece of ambiguity right now. I haven't seen anything official. Half of the places are showing Mitch Parker as the starter for the Nats. That is what is on MLB.com. FanGraphs has DJ Hers. The sports books, at least earlier, had Mitchell Parker. So we don't totally know what that's going to be. As I look at it right now, DK Sportsbook has Mitchell Parker, but FanGraphs is rarely wrong. These guys threw a doubleheader a couple days ago, and I guess we just haven't determined which one of them is going to be up first coming out of the doubleheader. So we shall see, just in case. So prior to that, Parker pitched on the 1st. Hers pitched on the 31st. So based on their previous rotation, DJ Hers was ahead of Mitchell Parker. So Stochastic projections have Hers in. I have Parker in right now. I'm leaning Hers. Obviously, we're going to get this information before 6:45, so it won't really matter. And I'm not really worried about either one of the guys. They're both lefties. Neither one of them is obviously DJ Hers has the strikeout stuff, but neither one of them projects fantastic. Mitchell Parker has a 469 projected FIP via Steamer. It's 440 for Hers. So definitely bigger strikeout stuff against Miami. But ultimately, I'm not all that concerned which one it is for the analysis of this situation. So we'll find out where we end up in a bit. Well, let's take a look at some of the top teams that are available for today. And I have two teams, number one, in my top stack model. The first one is the one that is also number one in the Stochastic top stack model. And that is the team that we were just sort of talking about, the Washington Nationals, taking on the Marlins. Darren McCoggin? Is it McCoggin? Darren McCoggin. Going up against the Nats here. Nats look really good as a stack. Like I said, number one for Stochastic, number one for me. I have them second in value. We have them fifth, but ultimately not all that problematic to get to. Projected lineup does have Chaparro and Gallo in it, which means that you can't roster them both. But shortstop, outfield, catcher, first, third, first five, amazing. If you want to put Luis Garcia in place of one of those guys, that's fine too. You get a second baseman and a little bit more pop. The Nats stack looks great. No MPEs, which is frustrating. You get CJ Abrams and James Wood at elevated prices, but not problematic prices. I think it's very easy to see why the Nats rank as high as they do. Great run total, great matchup, good enough pricing, great positionality. Savant has Parker. Yeah, I think it's going to be Hers, considering Hers was ahead of him before, but they could do whatever they want here. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Curious to see what it's going to end up being. I hope it's Parker since I already have him in, but as I see this right now, while the Nats are also number one in ownership, And I mentioned the Yankees being the other team at 19% top stack for me. Same exact ownership as the Nats. Going to be a different style of team, and we're going to take a look at them in a second. But I completely understand why the Nats are at the top. And I completely understand why the Yankees are 2. They are clearly 1 and 2 today. They're 1A and 1B. I have them second. Stochastic has them second. We're both right around 10th in top value. They're second in ownership. Cooper Criswell is going on the opposite side against the Yankees. If we look at Criswell quickly, where are we at? Bang. Criswell limits lefty power, actually. Only a 148 X ISO over the past 2 years, 121 this year, but does not generate swinging strikes. Does have a lot of problems against righties. 159 X ISO this year, but 328 X WOBA, 7% swinging strike rate to both sides. This could get problematic because it's not like Juan Soto or Jazz Chisholm need a good matchup for lefty-righty power. That's going to be fine in New York. But if he's giving it up to righties and not able to generate swinging strikes, Torres, Judge, Stanton, I mean, even Volpe, who I bet him to not single, I guess. Well, I hope he homers. But the moral of the story is play the Yankees too, because they look great. Both of those offenses look fantastic. If I'm being honest, ownership today is pretty much in line with top stack. Like, even if I just, and it's going to sort to the bottom, but bear with me here. You know, top stack 19, ownership 15. Top stack 19, ownership 15. 13, 10, 12, 11, 10, 9, 9, 11, 8, 8, 9, 11. 5, 9, 4, 6, 4, 8. These are going to be more value teams too. You also have the Mariners playing at home, so you know what that does to offense. Very, very limiting. As I look at this right now, given the fact that Nestor Cortez is pulling 35% ownership and the Red Sox are 12% top stack, I expect to have a lot of the Red Sox. I expect to get to the Rays, Rangers, potentially Brewers. Yeah. I'm going to be light on one of the Nats or Yankees. I don't know which one it's going to be. As we look at the Yankees, my assumption is it ends up being them just because you get a lot of outfield talent. You do get Torres and Wells in the top 5, which I think is helpful. But my expectation is I get the Nats. I'm limited on the Yankees, and I have way more of the Red Sox, the Rays, and the Brewers because of the ownership coming into the pitching on the opposite end. All right, my first run of my script just finished. So let me get this going now, and then we can get a look at what I'm actually getting. We could take a peek at starting pitcher projections, starting pitchers in general, and then we could build out a couple lineups in the single game tool. This isn't going to be as deep of a show as it normally is. We're certainly not going to be going all the way to 10 on a 5-gamer, especially considering we have a ton of football coverage coming up today. And that is where the bread gets buttered today. That's where the prize pools are. If you're looking for big prize pools, I'm going to talk about the single lineup sim a lot today for MLB. You could also use it on the NFL side. You guys came out in droves week 1, so it was nice to have all you guys. For anybody new, thank you for being here. Tyler, congrats on being a new member. Coming up after this, 10 a.m. Eastern time, you get Laffy and Matt Gajeski for the Showdown Strategy Show. They're breaking everything down showdown-wise for tonight's game. 11 a.m., Eitan and Eric are doing a Pick'em-specific strategy show. Absolutely don't want to miss that one either. They're going to be digging deep. Live Before Lock on the MLB side with Eric and Bellman later tonight. NFL Live Before Lock for Laffy and Greg tonight at 7:15. We have a lot going on today. You do not want to miss any of it. Let's see. Who are my top bats for today? Let's take a look at that. All right. Including salary, number 1 bat, CJ Abrams. James Wood, a close second. Juan Soto, third. I actually have Abrams and Soto ahead of Judge today, even ignoring salary. A lot of it has to do with the fact that Abrams is hitting leadoff. That extra plate appearance is also helping Soto. Anybody else? Jake Berger ranking very high, 5th overall. I think that's interesting to see. Let's look at pitching. So right away, the first thing that I see, and I know I am going to be over the field on, is Bryce Miller, who is around 40% owned. He's the most expensive pitcher at 9,200. I have his implied ownership at 59. And the reason being, I have Bryce Miller projected for like an extra strikeout over the line today. And I am very, very okay with it. So I've got him projected at 6.5 right now, on the dot, 6.5. Bryce Miller's strikeout line right now is 5.5, juiced to the under. I honestly don't get it. I really don't. So I have aggressively bet his over, and I am expecting him to be very easily my most exposed pitcher. But let's walk through this for just a second. Because first and foremost, Texas isn't a great matchup normally for strikeouts. Sorry, I'm not going to be looking at the early slate today. If we look at righty strikeout rate for the active roster, Texas is 24th. They're at 20.5. They're only a 91 WRC plus, so they haven't been great against righties. Now, we know that this park limits runs. We know that it limits power. Does it limit strikeouts? Actually, didn't even look. Or increase strikeouts. Mariners K rate. Yeah. 120 park factor versus lefties. 119 for righties. So strikeouts go up in Seattle. Texas then is like a below average matchup. But Bryce Miller this year has a 26% K rate against righties, 22 against lefties. So he's usually sitting in that range. But he gets a lot more strikeouts against righties. That's helpful. Adolis Garcia strikes out a lot. Josh Jung strikes out a lot, both as righties. But Lofty and I have been over this quite a few times on this show. I don't remember if Bryce Miller is one of them, so I'm starting this point uninformed, but I believe I'm right. What are Bryce Miller's strikeout rates this season, home and away? I think I'm right. Yeah, I'm very right. 29.9% strikeout rate at home. 17.6% strikeout rate on the road. And that's the same sample, essentially. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 plate appearances. This spot looks so good, it's crazy to me. Even if we don't think that that's totally real, this park is way better for strikeouts than any other park, I believe. Yeah, not even close. That's a 120 park factor for strikeouts in Seattle. The next closest is like 110 for Milwaukee. This is a massive strikeout park. Now, we have DJ Hers ahead of Bryce Miller. It's a conversation for another day. Hers, obviously, with major strikeout stuff. So I think that's real. And then we have Bryce Miller as the second highest guy. But we also have Gavin Williams and Hayden Birdsong very close to him. I have Bryce Miller lapping these dudes. I am very, very, very in on Bryce Miller today for a big strikeout day. I recommend laddering his strikeout props. This park and his stuff at home, everything's great. And maybe the lineup changes and this looks worse. It could happen. But as it stands right now, I think Bryce Miller is going very underlooked. Sim just finished. So we can grab the lineups and see where we're at. But I expect to have a ton of Bryce Miller. I expect to get a lot of our boy Hayden Birdsong too. This is going to feel like about a week ago. I'm hoping I get some Mitchell Parker, but we don't know if that's going to be him. Hopefully they add Rocker to the salary file. I don't know what they'll bring his salary in for, but making his debut, big time strikeout stuff out of Rocker. That could get pretty interesting here in Seattle against a team that definitely strikes out quite a bit. Then you've got Nestor Cortez as the second most owned guy, Montas and Gavin Williams. Montas, Gavin Williams, Cortez, all in the 74 to 8K range, all about 30% owned. Don't really have an idea of who I'm going to get there. We're going to find that out right now as I paste this in. So let me grab what I have right now as my top 50 lineups. And let's get an idea of what I'm going to be going to and what I've got my eye on. I see a lot of Bryce Miller's name. I'm figuring he's in 80+% of my lineups. We'll start with the pitching side before we look at hitting. There we go. Pitching exposure. All right, not as crazy as I thought. 60% Bryce Miller, 72% Cortez. I think that $1,200 is coming up. Very important. Neutral on Frankie Montas. Light on Gavin Williams. Not surprised. His strikeout prop was my biggest negative strikeout prop, which I bet today. And my bets can't go any worse than they did yesterday, so that's good. And then actually light on Birdsong. So what I'm seeing, based on this exposure, I'm expecting to have a lot of the Nats. I don't have Mitchell Parker. I have, in abundance, 2 of the 3 most expensive pitchers and 3 of the 4. My assumption is that I'm getting to the Nats since they're cheap, and I'm not getting to the Yankees. %30 of the Nats, 5% of the Yankees. I am getting the Brewers. I'm not getting the Red Sox, but I am getting the Guardians. Really thought I would get the Red Sox there. I'm getting the Marlins, which is interesting and ripe to change. But as I expected, paying up for pitching and unloading a full clip into the Washington Nationals. 50% of Keibert Ruiz, clearly going to be my most exposed hitter. Guessing CJ Abrams and Jose Tena are not going to be far behind. I do find that Marlins stack interesting, though. Edwards, Norby, Berger, Otto Lopez, 4 MPEs, 3 different options at shortstop, 3 different options at third, 3 different options at first. Barry's the catcher in the 9 spot. Every bit of that looks good. So I like the idea of game stacking this game, whether it's hers or Mitchell Parker. Guardians works for me. Ryan Pepio is getting ownership, 15%. It's a lot of Jimenez, as it always is. It's a decent chunk of Jose Ramirez. I don't mind this stand at all. I'm a little higher on Cleveland. The lefty power is really great here against Pepio. So whether that's, Quan and Jimenez aren't lefty power, but lefties nonetheless. Ramirez and Naylor. Manzardo and other Naylor. A lot of lefties in this lineup. Rocchio as well if you need it, but I don't have them. And then the Brewers, again, 23% ownership coming in on the opposite side, and that's Birdsong, not something we're super worried about. Park sucks for sure. 34% of Garrett Mitchell. 3K outfielder potentially hitting second, lefty righty spot I like a lot. We're way higher on the Brewers than I am, too. We have them 4th. I have them 6th. Pretty easy to stack. Outfield, catcher, first 5 spots. Blake Perkins is very cheap. Not surprised to be getting to them. Least exposed team being the Mariners. That doesn't surprise me at all. I do not like that spot. It being in Seattle is very limiting. I'm a believer in Rocker. Let's take a look at the Yankees. I assume the limited amount I have is going to like Soto. Judge 12%, Soto 8%, Torres 8%. So yeah, light on the Yankees, and I'm okay with it. I am. That's a lot of ownership. I do find the Red Sox side to be more interesting because of the ownership to Cortez, but I am getting a lot of Cortez, 72% in fact. Do you guys have anything else you want me to look at with regards to these stacks or pitchers before we start building out some lineups in the stochastic single game lineup sim? Let me take a sip. Oh, that's refreshing. All right, let's build some lineups. Remember, you can sign up for our NFL package and do the exact same thing that I'm about to be doing, but for Showdown, for main slates, for whatever you're looking for. This is the single lineup sim, and we are going to build out some damn good lineups. Justin Sports, no. 3-game early slate on an NFL day, I cannot be bothered. Are they running decent contests? I assume they're not, but I haven't looked. I assume the early slate contests are an embarrassment. It'd be cool if they weren't, but my assumption is they are. That 10K in the relay, $15 relay throw and the perfect game. That's it. Yeah, that's a terrible, terrible, terrible slate. Let's build out something good. All right, so it's interesting. I have a much bigger projection on Bryce Miller, so I'm going to go Bryce Miller to start, and I'm going to grab Nestor Cortez. I want to see what we can do with the Nats lineup. So let's go to the Nats. Let's get Chaparro. Let's get Tena. Let's get Ruiz. Let's get Abrams. And I need an outfielder. Let's get David Hensley. No. Let's get Christian Pache. Second baseman and 2 outfielders. Well, we know where we can go for second base. I assume Andre Jimenez is the number 1 second baseman for value. It's not. It's Gleyber Torres, actually. I don't think we can go to the Yankees here. So I'm going to get Jimenez. So we have a lot of salary. Actually, we have so much salary that we might actually be able to get to something better. Wait, why did I go Christian Pache? That was not the way to do that. Maybe I should try grabbing a Washington outfielder. That's going to be... We're going to go James Wood. All right, now we're where we want to be. Second base, 2 outfielders. Man, I was dumb there for a second. All right. Highest projection at second base that's available is Luis Garcia. Kind of want to get Luis Garcia, but that's besides the point. Brandon Lau and then Jimenez. But we're going to have a decent chunk of salary to spend. If we go Jimenez, we can go... We can't go Quan plus someone. We can't do anything with Cleveland if we go Jimenez. So we need value. Technically, we can go Marlins. That would be Otto Lopez. Hensley and Pache leaves us a crisp 3,300. So Marlins are too cheap. Who's cheap but less cheap? Let's look at the Rays. That ends up being Brandon Lau. This is going to be too expensive. Johnny DeLuca and Dylan Carlson. Leaves 700. All right, 96.5 projection, 173 ownership. This is going to be bad. This is going to be very bad. This is way too much ownership. This is going to be really unappealing, is my guess. Yeah, 6.7. I'm not surprised by that. Who are some efficient outfielders? All right, Milwaukee gets you Garrett Mitchell and Blake Perkins and allows us to get to anything we want at second. Honestly, those guys are even too cheap. We want to be in that like low threes range. Garrett Mitchell is that guy. Can we go Churio Mitchell? And then we could actually get Gleyber Torres, 5-2-1, 99.5, but we did take on more ownership. This will probably be in and around the same. Not a very easy lineup to build out. I'm not surprised by that either. Yeah, right around the same area. Maybe we look at Arozarena, Robles, and Polanco. That gets us 3-man Seattle, 96.5. Ownership starts to come down a little bit. This one's probably going to be in that 15 range. But as I'm seeing it right now, we need to find a place to haircut some salary. Yeah, 6. I'm going to pull Nestor Cortez and the Seattle guys. Hop to our boy Birdsong. Maybe that frees us up a little bit more. It's the real problem here is how bad second base is. I almost want to get Luis Garcia in there. But if I put Luis Garcia in, who can I pull? Let's pull Chaparro and get Luis Garcia in. That leaves us 3,900 for any first baseman. Maybe then we can go. That's still Brandon Lau. Josh Lowe gives us nobody. It's a tough build. I don't like the Nats build. I really don't. I really, really don't. Why is everybody marked? There we go. Oh, because I don't need a second baseman. I forgot I changed it. I mean, Josh Naylor, Lane Thomas. I mean, that spends it all. Bug Boy, that's good. I'm getting away from this Washington lineup right now. 24.5. Yeah, we can get there. I don't like the Washington side. I want to try out. I want to try out the Brewers, since that's a team that I actually have. And I do think they've got a lot of value out there. And I think this is going to allow us to build something pretty interesting, especially with Birdsong on the opposite side. So I'm going to go to Milwaukee. We're going to get Garrett Mitchell. We're going to get Jake Bowers, William Contreras, Willie Adames, and then next best value available is Blake Perkins or Sal Frelick. Let's go Frelick. Pitching, I say we go Nestor Cortez. Let's save some salary. Cortez Montas. Leaves us 5K. That allows us. What can we do? We need one outfielder. Can we do Soto Torres. Best third baseman left is Norby. We'll look at this as a 5-2-1 to start. That leaves us 1,000. We know we're making changes. Maybe the Yankees aren't the answer. Actually, how much is he? 92? I thought we had enough money to get up to my boy Miller. Okay, 26%. We have 1,000 on the table. We can make this lineup way better. Like if we pull Soto, I mean, we can make it Judge. Well, the ownership on Judge might change it. But we have a lot of salary to work with here for whatever we want this. Yeah, we're up to 46 now that we're spending that salary. I like it. There's something here now that we can spend all that salary and get to Milwaukee. Who's expensive at outfield, but also a good value? Dylan Cruz. Can we get Washington? If we go Cruz, Luis Garcia, and Tena. Oh my God, that leaves 3,000 on the table. If I go from Montas to Miller, that's still 1,700. You could really let this one rip. Holy hell. All right. So it can't be those guys. They're too good. I really just need projection in that outfield spot. I mean, Cruz is the third best option there. If I go Josh Lowe, Brandon Lau, and Junior Caminero, that's still 1,200 on the table. I mean, I guess we could upgrade Milwaukee and get Churio over Frelick very easily. No, we can't. We don't have enough. We can get there, though. Now that we know that we have enough salary, I'm going to upgrade Frelick to Churio. That might be a little bit more manageable. Because now if we go Soto and Torres, we have 3,600 left. Then we can get Tena. That might be too much ownership. We might have to get away from the Yankees and spend up elsewhere to bring down ownership, like a pay up to be contrarian situation. I actually think that might be the path. Yeah, I think that's going to be the path. Who can we pay up for to be contrarian? Second base just doesn't have it. Semien, Josh Jung, and Wyatt Langford. It's a giant ownership cut, but we gave up way too much in projection. It's really second base that's the giant problem today, is what I'm seeing. At least if you're trying to build a 5-2 or build a 5-man stack at least. All right, Jimenez, Jose Ramirez. There's not even an available Cleveland outfielder at 3,100 or below. Can't get Yaz. Don't want Jacob Young. Yeah, tough. Second base is making this really, really tough. You guys got a team that you want me to look at before I get out of here? 31. Okay. Yeah, the problem for the Brewers is that they just don't have a good second base option. Polanco. Yeah, Rojas. There's nobody expensive enough. It's outfield for Seattle. Maybe we could turn this into a 4-4. Soto. No, we want to get away from the Yanks. Can't take Boston. Can we get there with just Cleveland? If we go Jimenez and Jose Ramirez and we pull Churio for Quan, nope, that's not going to work. That's not going to work either. If I go Quan, how can I make this a 4-3-1? It ends up being Blake Perkins. I mean, I'll at least look at it. I didn't run that before, did I? That gets us back to our 5-3. This will probably be decent. Donovan. 11, really? Not what I expected. Not what I expected. Brandon Lau, Junior Caminero, Josh Lowe, Johnny DeLuca? No, that's going to be terrible. Tampa and Milwaukee. Nobody near it. So Victor Robles, come on down. Tough day today, man. Look, 5-game slate. You only have a limited amount of options. Like the amount of guys that you could roster at second base today based on our currently projected lineup. All right, we got to 27. That's not bad. We have 10 options at second base. Sometimes you end up with less if things break weird. Brandon Lau, Luis Garcia, Torres, and Jimenez are like where you should be focused. Guys, I think that's it. Remember, lock at 6:45 tonight, but we have NFL Showdown strategy coming up next. Pick'em strategy coming up at 11. I'm back for Odds Shopper live at noon. Live before lock on the MLB side and the NFL side later today. And then tomorrow, it's a Friday, guys. You know the deal. There's no NFL tomorrow. We are going to unload on what I'm assuming to be a really nice Friday slate. So make sure you're joining me tomorrow. Hit the like button if you haven't done it yet. Subscribe, notification bell, all that good stuff. I'll talk to you tomorrow.